Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 5 of Horsin Around here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along tonight with co-hosts Ben and Booze and Patrick Kunzel from Rockingham Ranch, and a big fan of the show and all-around fantastic guy, Michael Ossen from the West Coast. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing well. Glad to be on.
Michael, thanks for joining us. What's going on out there on the West Coast tonight? Michael, can you hear us? But Michael, you're muted there. We can't hear you there for some reason. Hello, Michael? You there? No. Okay, I'm going to take you off screen just a second, Michael, so you can figure that out there. So we'll get back to Michael in a second. We couldn't hear him. Patrick, we are here to talk about many things, but first, let's just talk quickly a few items. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. After you do that, hit the notification bell so that you know when new content will rise, and smash that like button as well. Michael, if you can hear us in the background, go and give us a thumbs up. No, Michael, can you hear us in the background? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with Michael, so I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I don't even have my phone with me, Patrick. That's a problem. Okay, we're off to a rip-roaring start. All right. Well, anyway,
it's after the Pegasus. What can you expect?
Over, I guess that you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We got a great tip sheet that, by the way, Patrick had a big day on Saturday with a few winners. We'll talk about that. Look below the video player for information on the tip sheet. We got a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com, and we are on Instagram as well, instagram.com also. Michael, let's try one more time. Michael, can you hear us, Michael? I don't know what's going on. Okay. Now, we can't hear you, Michael, and apparently you can't hear us. I'm not sure what happened between you being on and before the show and not. So, Michael, one more time, Michael, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I don't know. No, I don't know what's going on. All right, I'm going to take him off this. I don't know. He'll try to pop back in. Hopefully, Patrick. Sorry about that, everyone. But Michael is a big fan of the show. He's been in the chat quite often. He also works with Rockingham Ranch out in California, who just had a winner today at Turf Paradise, which had their opening day, by the way, Patrick. We weren't even sure that they were going to be running at Turf Paradise, but they decided to keep the track open, which is cool. So hopefully we'll get Michael back on here in just a little bit. Let's try one more time. Michael, can you hear me right now? Give us a thumbs up. Michael, if you can hear us. All right. Michael, go ahead.
Yes, now I can hear you guys.
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go. Michael, I just saw congratulations, man. Tell everyone, first of all, where you're from, your connections with Rockingham Ranch, and congrats on your win today out at Turf Paradise.
Sure. I'm based out of here in Southern California, right by lovely Santa Anita Park. And I work with Rockingham Ranch with owner Gary Hartunian on his stable, and it's really fun. The guys are a lot of fun, and it's always fun to be around this community and this industry. I have a blast every day at the track.
That's awesome. And you had a winner today at Turf Paradise on their opening day.
Yes, we won the turf feature with Princip Carlo. Luis Negron gave him a really nice ride, and cut in and saved some ground. That was nice in the stretch. He's a good horse. It was nice that he got away from the Chosen Brawn, so a little bit easier company today.
Yeah, the Chosen Brawn is unbelievable, Calbred. And also Newgrange. You want to talk about Newgrange real quick also?
Yeah, so this weekend, right after the Pegasus occurred, and I was so glued on betting the Pegasus, I just got out with 30 minutes to go before the race, 40 minutes to go, 2 races before I came upstairs and saw daylight. But we won the San Pasquale with Newgrange, and yeah. This was a really great horse that was actually purchased by Gary and Little Red Feather for $325,000. He was a Derby Trail horse for Starlight Madacat SF Racing, and purchased him from Baffert. He won this race last year, and then he won the San Antonio and was able to win the San Pasquale again. So he's been a really fun horse, and Little Red Feather and all those guys in the Phil Diamato's barn have been really great with this horse.
Nah, congratulations. That's awesome. He's going to continue to improve, and he's doing well. And Michael, let's show some people who joined us here in the live chat. Sean King, congrats, Howard, on the holiday. Now, people might be saying holiday. There's no holiday today. For those of you that pay attention to my emails and YouTube channel, I just sent out, I taped the video with Davy Lane from Liverpool, England, who, of course, is a great handicapper / punter. And I just released information about the fantastic European vacation that I'll be taking at several different tracks. Michael, I don't know if you heard, but I'll be going to the Spanish Derby, the French Derby, and Royal Ascot first 2 days. Really excited about that, and bring some coverage to the podcast. So that's exciting. Katie is here. What's going on? Horsey Dave from Toronto. Greetings. What a wonderful day of racing last Saturday. And Bon Voyage. Howard, quite the trip. Yep, really excited about that. Terry, Frank, everyone just wants to talk about the vacation, Patrick. There was some big racing on Saturday. I don't know, maybe we should switch gears, but people can watch the video. We got Singh is here. What's going on? Let's see. Yeah, Singh, we're going to talk about this. How about the news of none of Baffert horses switching trainers? That is a huge piece of news that we will talk about. Let's see, just seeing what else is going on. Yeah, that's about it. Tom Espinoza is here. Mike Carmelli says, does Davy Lane has no idea what is coming at him? Oh, he knows, Mike. He knows, Mike. It's going to be all good. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the trip at the end if we have time. Guys, let's talk about Pegasus. Pegasus Day, Saturday. Patrick, I know that, you were quite busy on Saturday doing a little betting, doing some, personal work and doing some other things, but it was one hell of a day. They had huge handle, Patrick. The one main bummer for you and I selfishly is we missed out on the great weather apparently they had down there. It was 80 and sunny on Pegasus Day. You and I were both down in Florida in the last month and got sort of crappy weather.
Yeah, we did. And, watching on NBC all the fun that they were having at the track, and, seeing the aerial footage of Gulfstream in that weather really was a little bit disappointing, knowing that we didn't get that temperatures and the beautiful sunny weather. But what great racing there was. I mean, I know we'll go in depth on it.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about the three main races. Again, we'd love to have everyone comment, not only in the live chat. We have a great audience, Michael, as usual, but go ahead, comment down below the video player as well if you're going to be watching or listening to this later. Michael, real quick, before we get into the Phil and Mare Turf, how did you find out about our podcast? I know you've been on our live chat for quite a while.
When I got really into horse racing early last year and I started watching podcasts, I think you guys came up on YouTube. I watched one of your Thursday shows recapping, I believe it was early Oaklawn last year. Okay. And you were handicapping the late pick 5 at Oaklawn. And I actually enjoyed that because I really was in a horizontal play. So it was something that was really informative. And I watch, you guys and some others, the DRF podcast, the ones that focus on those late sequences of the featured card.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your viewership, and we had a chance, Patrick and I, to meet Michael at the Breeders' Cup. I'm assuming you'll be at Del Mar the next 2 Breeders' Cups also. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to be out in LA in a few weeks. I'll talk to you off air about that. Maybe we can get together possibly, but let's go ahead and talk about the Filly and Mare Turf. The Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf was $500,000 race. Let me go ahead and bring up the results on the screen. We'll just quickly talk about each of the 3 races. There's the result. Didia, personal top choice of mine and a few other people on the podcast, won at 860, so about 3.3 to 1. A huge run by Surprisingly, who I actually used as a B as in boy in my horizontals, Michael and Patrick. I wouldn't have minded if that horse had gotten up. A big effort there in second. And then Ruby Nell, who that's a horse you know very well, Michael, out there in the West Coast, didn't quite get the best of starts. Let's go ahead and watch the replay. Michael, I'm going to let you comment first. Let me go ahead and make this screen a little bit smaller so we can see the replay. First of all, Michael, as we show the replay, who would you like in this race in general, and your thoughts on Didia being this far up close? Because that was really the key to me when let me just pause this. When the number 6, Ruby Nell, I thought would be on the lead, as most people did, but just veered in a little bit at the start and didn't get the lead. I thought that was a huge part of this race.
Yeah, so Didia was actually my top pick here, and when I saw 3-1, I hammered her, and I loved where Jose put her early.
Yes.
I think that after that Breeders' Cup kind of trip, that was the instructions to put her close. Once I saw her this close, I said that she's probably the horse to beat. I felt very good about my my big pick 3s here and my pick 4 and my pick 6 here that did have Didia.
Oh, nice. So did you play the $3 turf pick 3? Is that what you're referring to?
You know what? It's actually not offered at Santa Anita on the Am-Totes because we have our own pick 3, so we can't play it,
Really?
which I'm upset because I singled what's the Chad Brown horse, the Francisco Clement. Yes, Francisco Clemente was my I singled him. I singled Didia on tickets, and then I singled Warm Heart. She was my single on my pick 6 that I cashed on. So I mean, I could have played that thing for like $100 gold. I was very upset.
They're both Stronach tracks, but you can't play the $3 turf pick 3. I mean, how ridiculous! Whatever.
No, I'm assuming they can't play ours either.
Patrick, I agree with Michael. When I had Diddy also, who's the 9. When I saw this, Patrick, just sitting right off of the 3 Accomplished Girl, and inside here, I'll just make it bigger. This is Ruby Nell, who was supposed to be on the lead. When Jose Ortiz put Didia in just a great spot, Patrick. And if you like Didia, I mean, you can't ask for a better situation. Although Didia is usually not this far up close, Pat.
Yeah, and I honestly think the only thing that would have been concerning was how quick was the pace early on, and we saw that the first quarter was 24-8, so that right there kind of puts you away from being scared.
Yeah,
and like Michael said, I just think Jose just sat in that pocket right off the 3 and just pounced when he had to.
Yep, and I'm sorry, and the ride on
he rode her like she was the best.
Yes.
I think O'Sheen Murphy rode the 12. I believe. I'd have to double check it.
Yes.
Gave an unbelievable ride, Michael, from the 12 hole, getting over on the inside and ran well. And Ruby Nell really was in a comfortable spot, but she really wants to be on the lead. So even though she's drafting and behind, you can't think. I would think that Mandela wasn't overly pleased with where she was. Michael.
Yeah, I agree. Ruby Nell, when I saw where she was, we said she wasn't winning. I was with my friend watching it down in the Santa Anita dungeon. We said she wasn't going to win from there. From here, I thought, I was already screaming Didia. I was ready to go. I was ready to go cash. And as long as Warm Heart won, I was ready to get paid on this. I mean, really nice in the stretch how she finishes this race. She was in the perfect spot early. I think they really learned from that Breeders' Cup. And I should have purchased your power picks because I played this race a little vertically and I missed surprisingly. That was Ocean Murphy actually messed me up on 2 vertical plays. I think in the Francisco Clemente race, he came up the rail on a 13 horse too, and that killed me because I had the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finisher in that race as well.
Wait, Michael, hold on. We got a full screen. Can you say one more time about those power pick tip sheets? Can you say?
I did. I saw your results, and that exacta was very nice. I think you guys should have. If you guys aren't purchasing it, I think it's something to consider because that was a good play there for sure.
Patrick, Michael might be a new co-host on the show now for touting out those power picks. I do appreciate it. I thought Mission of Joy, the 11, was also interesting. I just thought this was a wide open race. Obviously, I got lucky with the trip. With surprisingly, but here's really quick. Here's the buyers, guys. Didia gets a 99, so really didn't. It is a buyer top for her, but not by that much. Surprisingly, jumped up big time. But again, she was coming off. Here's surprising these PPs. If you want to, I guess we're not going to. I guess we're not. Oh boy, we're not going to have them. All right. Oh boy. Sorry guys. Let me take that off. I've had. You know what? Don't get me started. That is not. By the way, just for the record, that is not. DRF's fault. That is something my computer, and I know what the hell's going on wrong. But anyway, we'll try to get it back. Any other thoughts in this race, Michael? Anyone else you want to mention in the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf? A horse you were disappointed with? Just anything else in general?
Well, I think we were correct about Star Fortress. That kind of race was definitely a bounce on sheets, and it was kind of a fluke. because of that Churchill track and how it was playing and how she kind of was ridden in that race. Ruby, I was surprised how they bet Fluffy Socks. She was getting played. I think maybe some people who were in the betting challenge were playing her like she was sitting on a big race. She was so I was surprised where she finished. But I want to see what they do with Didia next. Obviously, if they take her to that race at Fairgrounds on Louisiana Derby Day again, she would be 1-9 and probably romp. I don't know what they'll do with her. She's super talented, and I'm really glad to see this horse in training because she's definitely a fun one to watch and leader in this division, no doubt.
Yeah, Patrick, I mean, the number 4 Star Fortress, who, by the way, finished last in this race. It just shows you, man, that Churchill turf course was really goofy in the fall, Patrick. And I'm not ready to like give up on the horse, but obviously, and she was 7-2 in this race. People that were a little suspect of that turf course were really, their opinions were strongly convinced out of this race.
Yeah, and actually, when I went back to watch the replays because I had Fluffy Socks on top. I wanted to see where how he finished, what happened, what went wrong. You saw Star Fortress get the first kick on Fluffy Socks when they both tailed to the outside and stretch,
Yeah.
and that horse just had no kick. It does bring up a good point about that turf course. And just to talk about turf courses, I know, Howard, you talked about how Didia likes the firm turf all week leading up to it.
Yeah.
Does that make you wonder about the fairgrounds? Because I know that turf, I don't know how firm that turf really is.
Well, the fairgrounds, they've had issues in the past, Patrick, but actually it's been pretty good this meet. I saw they haven't gone to that far outside rail too much. It's been playing pretty fair. So it feels like a lot of the top horses are staying away from the fairgrounds turf. I don't want to be disrespectful
Yeah.
to that turf course. So, Michael, they've had issues in the past. Although I don't know if you play fairgrounds at all, Michael. It seems to be better this year.
I do play fairgrounds, and it seems to be better. There's still that bias with outside posts just coming over and really dominating. And on the dirt course, inside horses, outside closers seem to be where to go on turf, and inside closers seem to be doing pretty well on the rail. I usually play fairgrounds mainly only on the big days.
Okay. By the way, Patrick, I think you called Fluffy Socks a he. So if you have a beverage around there, Michael, feel free. You know our tradition here on the show.
I got an invisible beverage.
Beautiful. We don't mind invisible beverages. All right, guys, let's talk about the next 2 races. The Pegasus Turf. Look, we had a live show Saturday, as you guys know, and I need to be very honest because that's what we do, Michael, and I think it's important. Sorry, I'm a little bit blurry, but that should change here in just a little bit. I tipped up, as you said, on the tip sheet, some real nice winners, including Alpha Bella earlier in the La Prevoyant. I tipped out Tumbarumba in the Hooper, which we're not going to talk about that race. That paid well. Didia. We had some nice winners, but look, I was wrong on the 2 big races at the end, the last 2 big races, and that's just the way it goes. I liked very much, very, very, very much liked Integration in this race we're about to talk about, who didn't run badly as we're going to show, but just didn't get the job done. And I loved First Mission. And look, I also played in the Pegasus Betting Challenge. Michael, I don't know if you're aware of that, but I was up to about 25th with a few races left after a good score with Tumbarumba, and I was just wrong. I was just flat out wrong in the last 2 races. That's the way it goes. To me, those were both 2-horse races in general. Integration versus Warm Heart, National Treasure versus First Mission. And Michael, you've been playing this game a long time. You got to take chances, man. You got to go for it, and I went for it, and I was just wrong. And in this turf, Warm Heart, what a ride, Michael, by Ryan Moore. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. And Ryan and Michael and Patrick, I don't know what was more surprising to me. The fact that Ryan Moore, again, gave an unbelievable perfect ride, or the fact that Integration, Michael, went off at 6-5, while Warm Heart went off at 2.4 to 1. I don't know who you liked in this race. I already said who I liked, but if you liked Warm Heart and you got paid $680, that had to feel like a steal.
So I was touting Warm Heart for weeks. I thought this horse was going to run huge. I had this horse singled on the pick 6, pick 5, and pick 4 that I was live in right now, and wow. I was sweating bullets the way they were betting Integration, because I didn't expect that. I expected Integration to maybe be 2-1, 5-2, and Warm Heart to be 8-5, 7-5. So when I saw the way they were betting, I said, I think I'm toast here. I was just kind of pacing back and forth because I had I had probably one of the best days actually on Pegasus Saturday that I've ever had at the track in my life. So I should have maybe played in the Pegasus World Cup betting challenge, because I could. I rarely does this happen, but I could do no wrong on Saturday. I was single to warm heart, and I saw the way they were betting it, and I thought maybe integration's just gonna come through. But when they broke, and Ryan Moore, I know you're gonna show the replay now. When Ryan Moore put her involved early, I said it's just like with the Didier race. It was really wonderful. He was pumping at her, working her away, and I wasn't sure if he had the horse, but I mean, this was an artistic ride, no doubt about it.
Warm Heart, who's the 9, always has tactical speed. I was concerned. I mean, I thought she'd run well, but in a weird way, as Jerry the Nipper goes to the lead, I'm going to bring us on. Actually, I will just go and watch the race. Catnip the 12, who I talked about on the live show, was my sort of long shot play of the race, and I thought he went a little wide. That Frankie I don't know why he's so wide right here. Maybe he wanted to stay away from the lead horse and didn't want to engage. That would be my only guess, Patrick and Michael. But I thought Catnip ran huge here. As you see, he's 3 wide. But right here, Michael, you had to be absolutely licking your chops, because I was going through the race live, and here's integration right behind. And right now, and I said in the live show you can watch, right here, Patrick, I said, if one of the 2 favorites doesn't win, I'll be shocked with the trips they were getting. Yeah,
I mean, this was a great trip by Warm Heart, no doubt, and Ryan Moore. He's right where he's pumping away on the horse. He's saving every bit of ground. He's getting her in a position where she's not going to have too much to do at the end, because he knows he's on the best horse, and that's important. It's very similar to what Jose did with Didier, I think, and that was the key play.
Now, Patrick, I had a long conversation with Jason Blewett of West Point Thoroughbreds on Thursday's show, who works with, like I said, West Point, and that's Integration the 3. And I brought something up to him, Patrick, and I said, despite the fact Integration was undefeated, blah, 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 I had one concern and one concern only. And that concern is Integration has never had to come up the inside, has never had to go between horses, really has had zero issues in the race. And right here, I was getting right here and in the green, I was getting pretty excited. Okay. But this is why you have to watch trips. Catnip, who's right here, Patrick. I'm not saying that Detroit did anything wrong or anything nefarious, but Integration wants to go through this hole where my, where the cursor is right here. If Integration had got through here, and maybe Michael will disagree, but if Integration had got through here, I really think he would have given Warm Heart a battle right to the wire, if not won. But watch what happens right there. And I'm going to bring you guys on screen. This is a big deal, because I think Dottore looked to his left and saw that was Integration and absolutely would not let Integration out. Totally legal, Patrick. Nothing wrong. There was no bumping or anything, but he sort of shut the door. And as I run it through, Patrick, Integration really was put in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot, in my opinion, right here.
Yep. Yeah. And then Tyler, really was kind of lost, because that rail opened up, seconds later.
Yeah.
And now it's just a closed door. And the 4, I'm very busy, for Chad Brown comes flying late, who ran huge. And Chad actually talked about that horse after the race, and was really impressed, after, that horse, kind of disappointed, after its 2-year-old campaign.
I'm very busy, ran great. And, Michael, I was really hard on myself after this race during the live show. I was like, man, Integration didn't run great. I was so disappointed. Integration lost by 2 lengths. And again, he didn't really study or check. But Michael, I'd like your honest opinion. Am I just bitter and off the reservation, or do you think that did really matter where Catnip was to his flank? He didn't really get clear here until the very last 200 yards.
Listen, Howard, I watch hundreds of races all day, and there's no doubt in my mind Integration would have won that race had he cut that corner like you said. I'd bet 1,000 on it right now. I mean, there's zero doubt in my brain, and it's just, unfortunately, that's how racing luck is sometimes, when you're getting short fields at Naira, and then you come here and you're running a full 12-horse field where on the turf, where horses are mainly tactical and there's not, two runaway horses and, there's not gaps like in the next race we'll talk about. But when they're all kind of bunched up like that, that's very challenging. And another thing to note is horses don't have any fear. It's the riders who ride them. It's how horses will run right into each other. So that's something we noted for today about these European jockeys is they will take that rail and they will be aggressive on it, and it pays off. They'll get their horse through, and it got 2 monster prices underneath, and it got Warm Heart the win here.
It's a little hard to see, but Integration is right here, and here's Catnip. He just there wasn't a hole, right? You see right here.
Yeah.
There, you see right there. And again, I don't think Frankie came over. Please feel free to comment in the chat. I have no issue with the ride, although it pissed me off and it hurt me. But I mean, there really wasn't much of a hole, and that's just racing luck, right, Michael? It's just the way it goes.
Yeah, a lot of horses, 12 horses running close to each other. It's
right
everyone's trying to win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Pat, you mentioned I'm very busy. Ran well. Let me go back to the and Catnip. Atone actually came back and run well, which sort of shocked the crap out of me because I thought Atone was going completely in the wrong direction. And any other thoughts you want to mention? Warm Heart, by the way, of course, this was her last race, Patrick, ever, which is really amazing. We saw her at San Anita. We all saw her at San Anita when she just ran a hole in the wind and got nipped by Spiral. And talk about a ride by Frankie. That ride on Spiral at San Anita, Patrick, was amazing. I guess if you liked Webslinger, you're a little disappointed, but it was a slow pace, Patrick, and Webslinger needs pace in front of him to win.
Yeah, Webslinger, awesome horse, seems to always be in it. And yeah, so great for Coolmore. I mean, I know on the NBC coverage, they were talking to the connections there and stuff like that, and how they all agreed to appoint her to this race. And it was just great to see. And then just, the one thing on I'm very busy. I mean, I know, Howard, you talked about how Chad, in January seems to rest his, big shots. It's been a disappointing January for him, but I think I'm very busy's set up for a big 4-year-old campain.
Yeah, I think
that was a big race.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
No, that was a big race, and I think that horse actually, it's not like that horse was advantaged. He wasn't advantaged with a massively favorable trip. He had to deal with the same kind of traffic that some of the others did. So I think that's a big horse to look at.
And the last thing I'll say before we go to the Pegasus, it's one of these weird things, Michael and Patrick. You guys have all been there. You're right, but you're wrong, right? I was correct about Warm Heart in the sense, Michael, that she did regress. She went down to 100 buyer, and Integration had 390, like 98, 99, etc. going into this race. So if I believed Integration was going to take a little jump and Warm Heart was going to regress, which she did, then I was sort of right in my thinking. I ended up being wrong. But Patrick, and Michael, I've emphasized this with guys like Patrick, who are younger handicappers and are excellent, handicappers, but still learning the game a little bit, with Charlie and Kyle and Noah. You just cannot be so result oriented. Like, for example, Charlie liked Castle Chaos, who is a complete bomb in the Hooper, and he was really upset that he had a win bet. Like, I totally get it, right? We've all been there. That's an unbelievable pick to pick Castle Chaos in the Hooper. So the Integration pick, I've learned not to feel too bad about it because he ran pretty well, just didn't get the best trip. And Warm Heart, and congratulations to them, did regress. So again, the result didn't work out, but my thinking was correct.
No, you're right on point. I think the travel took a little bit out of her. And, I'm really young in this game too. So every day, not to be so result oriented, but I think when it comes to that, you got to look the other way. My buddy, actually, who's great horizontal player, he's sitting right next to me in the dungeon. He said he had Castle Chaos on his pick six. His pick six cost $8. It was alive, and he had Castle Chaos and Hijazi, and then national single Warm Heart here, National Treasure, and First Mission at the last race.
Wow. Speaking of pick sixes, by the way, I hear it paid pretty well yesterday, Patrick.
That was incredible. That was incredible.
1.8 million. There were 3 winners, and someone posted their winning ticket on X. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that. So
yeah, that was crazy.
It wasn't even huge. It was like a $330 ticket or something. All right, guys, let's get to. No, go ahead, Patrick.
Just because I saw it on Twitter as well. The ticket, and then you saw the $5 place or show bets, which is great. That's it reminds me of me, like how I bet.
Well, and then look, unbelievable. Then the guy said, like, why didn't I get paid more? He didn't know there was takeout. So I don't know if he's not an experienced player or what. Who the F cares? He just won 1.8 million. So
Exactly
I'm not
right.
going to necessarily criticize anything, but yeah, I know it's sort of funny to see that. And then he's got like $3 trifectas and just any weird shit. By the way, Michael, I've been in the dungeon only once. Why don't you tell everyone what the dungeon is before we talk about the Pegasus?
So that's a little bit of a secret of the pros, as they say at Santa Anita. It's well known. It's the OTB location at Santa Anita, under the track, under the main line, and it's it's where all the legendary horse players go. A lot of the former greats and a lot of characters at the track are there. And it's actually where I even me, where I could still be around at the track. That's where I choose to still play. It's my regular spot. When I come there to play the Gulfstream and the Naira tracks in the morning, I show up there and early. I go down. I sit with my buddy Tony down there, and I play until Santa Anita starts. Then I'll go up and out into the paddock and around. But it's a great spot. I mean, people are there all day, all night until 11 o'clock betting harness racing. No clue. They're telling you in Spanish that this is the horse to beat. No form, no anything.
Andale, right?
There's a mix of
Got
people.
The paper in hand.
There's some great handicappers down there, but there's some characters down there that should not be betting.
Patrick, it's a little bit darker down there. It's a little chilly. It looks like a school cafeteria with TVs around it. Basically, Michael knows, so it's interesting. We didn't make it down there on the Breeders' Cup Day, Patrick, because we were a little busy seeing some other cool things. And Patrick,
not
by
the
the way,
place to be at Breeders' Cup.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say, you pointed when we were walking around, we were going to see some people. You pointed to me, do you know what that is? And I had no clue. And now I'm getting the explanation on what it was. So that's great.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Pegasus, guys. Look, again, you got to fall on your sword, Michael, if you're going to be honest with your viewers and fans and whatnot. I was against National Treasure all week long until, and this is not redboarding because I said it on the Power Picks tip sheet, and I also said it on my live show Saturday, until Friday night when the DRF clock report came out. And I'm sure the clock report with Bruno and all the other West Coast guys was amazing. I saw the clock report for National Treasure, and Patrick, you saw the video. I saw too. Baffert always works his horses fast, Michael, as you know, but the video of the workouts of National Treasure on XBTV were absolutely mind-boggling. Every single workout the last 3 times, Mike, I don't know if you saw any of them, Patrick did. He was a little bit late to switch leads, in the workout. But once he switched leads, like midway through the stretch, his acceleration and gallop out from mid-stretch into the first turn in these workouts, Michael, were absolutely mind-blowing. And I showed it to Patrick Saturday morning. I said, Patrick, you got to see this. And he was like me. I was like, wow. I immediately upgraded to National Treasure, Michael, to a B as in boy from a C as in cat on my ABC, which basically means very defensively to semi-defensively. I still liked First Mission. Michael, you said you liked National Treasure. I'll go ahead and show the DRF. National Treasure wins. We surprised first at the odds, Michael. Went off at 2.6 to 1, basically close to co-favorites, as First Mission was 2.8 to 1. Before we get into the race, were you surprised by the odds, Michael?
You know what? I thought First Mission might go favor. I was looking at the double because I was interested. I played a double from Warm Heart, and I actually backed up Integration in that race because I didn't have them out. They were betting them, and I went National Treasure and First Mission here because I also had Boostador and O'Connor on my pick 6. I knew they'd be paying more, so I pressed National Treasure and First Mission. Though First Mission was my top pick, I played him more strongly in the double. I was really surprised with the trip he got, starting. I thought, and we'll get to it in a second, but if you notice how this race was very strangely run by the jockeys, where the first two were kind of National Treasure and Hoist the Gold were, and I guess there was a little bit of animosity there with Johnny V and Bob Pafford. He wanted to really get him back there. So that was a talk, and they ran that race like, a 2-horse match race. The other horses, I was very surprised they were that far back. I thought First Mission would sit between that far backpack and the front two. I was surprised when I saw him back there with O'Connor and with I think Trademark briefly made a run on the rail. And it was weird. It was a little weird. I did like First Mission a little more than National Treasure, though, I'll admit.
Oh, you did? Okay. Can you now? I assume you believed, as I did, that Hoist the Gold was going to get the lead. And I talked about this before all week. Hoist the Gold was ridden by Johnny V. Guess who? Johnny V had ridden Pat National Treasure several times. Johnny V knew, Patrick, that the only way, it turns out not, but the only way the National Treasure could win would be on the lead. So no one should be surprised as we watch the break here from the gate that Hoist the Gold made National Treasure work very hard, and in fact made National Treasure stalk. So if you were a fan of National Treasure, Patrick, you had to probably not be overly happy that Johnny V shoved so hard and did not allow National Treasure to get the lead.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Johnny V, he sold it out before the race. They interviewed him and they asked him, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "You know exactly what I'm going to do." And take Hoist the Gold and send. And he kept riding Hoist the Gold. I mean, until that horse, started to give way. And National Treasure, just you talked about the works. I mean, that horse, ran like its works and a little bit more.
Now, this was a real big point of the race, Michael. This is why I'm freezing it. And I know everyone's watched the race. As a fan of First Mission, and by the way, I still think he's going to be a really nice horse. I'm going to take this race, to me, is a toss. Al Miracolo is outside of outside of First Mission. It's a little bit hard to tell right here. But if you look at the chicklets, this 10 is outside of First Mission, guys. And I did not expect Al Miracolo to be there. And the problem, Michael, and I've talked about this on the Thursday show a lot, especially with Pete Visco, dirt horses do not want to be in between horses in general. They get claustrophobic. It's not ideal. They get more dirt kicked in their face. Turf horses, guys, not as big a deal. They're used to training in behind, getting cover, blah, blah, blah. I thought Al Miracolo really effed up First Mission. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that. We'll never know, but you don't want to being 3 wide is okay, unencumbered. Being 3 wide, Michael, with a horse 4 wide breathing on you from the outside, no bueno. No bueno at all.
That's a great point, Howard. And that's why you see so many dirt horses come over the top. And when you see 3 horses in the stretch, the one outside usually wins. I think Castellano rode El Miracolo that day, and he actually had that horse more forward where he could have been set up to win. Obviously, the horse wasn't good enough, but I'm really surprised that First Mission wasn't in between this grouping here of horses.
Yeah, this is just no good. I mean, they're basically 4 across the track in behind, and yeah, sure, like now Al Miracolo is further up, but you can see First Mission like pumping. I knew I was in trouble right here. I just knew I was in trouble. Let's talk. Here's First Mission right here. O'Connor makes this big move. Maybe too soon, Michael. I don't know how you felt, but whatever. Made a run, couldn't sustain it. National Treasure is running so comfortably right here, Michael.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't say anything because I was doing the live, call the race on our show. But right here, man, it looks like National Treasure is absolutely loaded and was going to go by. The big question there, Patrick and Michael, was would National Treasure have enough to go by Hoist the Gold and hold off the closers, because that was a fast middle quarter. They went 23-1, and then they went 23-1 again. So 46-1, Patrick, to the half, when National Treasure had never really passed anyone in his entire career of any significance. Patrick, let me ask you, at this point, when you saw the race live or as a replay, did you think National Treasure was going to win?
Yeah, I did. I thought, and the reason why is because I thought Flavian, kind of preserved some of the race in the backstretch and let Hoist the Gold, because Johnny's still pumping, and I just thought that Flavian did the right thing with preserving National Treasure a little bit. and then just let the horse go here. And I mean, this horse gets to the outside and is just, clearing away.
Yeah. Right there, I also thought he kind of had it there, and right here, I'm screaming from the top of my lungs because I have Buscador on the pick 6, and he's paying like 10,000 or something. So
Man.
and on the dollar pick 4, so I'm screaming for Buscador. But that was it was a good run. For a moment, I actually thought the horse that was the winner was O'Connor. But
Yep.
Paco did Paco things. Kind of, he moved him from the rail to the 5 path and tried to, I don't know what he was doing, and then he started carving him left-handed. It was a very weird. It was shades of Tapit Trice, and you would know that, Howard, because just like his Belmont and Travers,
You had to go there. You had to go there.
Just like his Travers effort, when for a moment you're like, Tapit Trice is going to Travers, and then he makes that big move around the turn, and then he just flat, and Saez is just like going to town on him, and he just flattens out.
The reason why I freeze frame here, Patrick, and you know me very well, Michael, I'm big on gallop outs, and I know some people say it's not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. The fact that Senior Buscador never went by National Treasure, tip your cap to National Treasure, and this is why I know it's a month from now, and we got plenty of time. I do not like Senior Buscador at all in the Saudi Cup if he goes. I don't care who's running. If he's that good, he goes by National Treasure after the race. There's no point where Senior Buscador goes by. To me, this is a big negative for Senior Buscador. Michael, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's just my opinion of the gallop out there.
You know what, Howard? It seems like this horse, and he's a West Coast horse, so I've seen him run plenty of times in person. It just seems like he loves closing for minor placings on speed favoring tracks.
Yeah,
it seems to be his forte at this point. But I don't know. He's a neat horse and a great one to root for, obviously. But it's tough. I'm by the opinion that I think he should have probably stayed on the rail. Junior tips him out. If he stays on the rail and saves the ground, maybe he gets it. And then there's a part where Junior kind of puts him behind National Treasure in the stretch, and I don't get why you would ever go behind a horse that you need to pass in the stretch. You're a math teacher, and that makes no.
You're talking about right here, right, where he could have stayed on the rail, but then he decided to tip out instead. That's right here.
Yeah,
right?
And it actually opens up, because look at Hoist the Gold comes out a little bit, and then
right here.
Yes.
Why not just do this, right?
Yeah.
I
thought he could have gotten him, but see, then he goes.
Yeah.
And then Paco's in the 20 path over there on O'Connor.
That's a good point.
And I thought he had a shot, but I don't know how I feel about him in the Middle East. Obviously, we saw that run that Ushaba Tesoro made last year in Dubai.
Yeah.
I could see Buscador going for minor placings, but it's so tough in these races for him. He seems to be a cool horse to root for underneath. I think.
Yeah, I'd love to own him. I mean, he's a really nice horse. I just, I don't know. It's very interesting. Go ahead, Pat. You got a question that you want to ask about the race, right?
Yeah. So, Hoist the Gold finished 4th in this race, set all the fractions. What does that take away with you? Is that a takeaway for you that this field is just not very strong?
Well, look, I don't want to be Mr. Debbie Downer here, but this was not a $3 million field. I mean, complete ridiculous. I mean, so the field was not really strong, Patrick. Hoist the Gold ran well. I never thought he'd never been this distance. And Gulfstream could be speed favoring. Hoist the Gold should stay at 7 furlongs to a mile. I know they may be tempted. I don't know how you feel about that, Michael. They may be tempted to go, continue him at 2 turns. That's the very best he can do, and he barely hung on for 4th in what I thought was a very shaky field, Michael. So Hoist the Gold needs to stay 7 furlongs to a mile, in my opinion.
I think he got a pretty good trip here. He's a beneficiary of one, and actually his owner Paul is a good friend of mine. He's a really nice guy. He's in the ownership group with this horse, and he's actually, I'm going to defend him a little bit though, in that the horse I think is kind of similar with ours Newgrange. I think he's just kind of coming into form. He's one of these 4, 5, 6-year-olds that kind of just finds a tempo and a form to him, and I think he's and I would defend him that he's not that bad. I know they were considering, as most older horse connections are this year, going to the Middle East with this horse. I know they have a mile race on the Saudi undercard, and I know they have a shorter race Dubai undercard at Maidan. So I think maybe that would be really ideal for this horse because oddly enough, the Dubai World Cup, it seems to be our biggest threat here is this $12,000 California Chroma Kazakhstani horse that broke his maiden in a 3-horse,
Yeah.
Chernobyl war zone. It was like the most Soviet looking track, and the horse. People are saying this horse might be sub even money. And obviously, we're looking to send Newgrange out to Maidan, so we'll be out there on the last weekend of March. So I mean this. So it's just kind of funny how where this game is right now, and in that this horse might be the one to beat.
National Treasure got a 105, so he pretty much paired up his buyer Top Patrick when he ran huge in the Breeders' Cup Mile. I'll also ask you guys this final question, and then we'll wrap up the show. If you own National Treasure, I mean, is this horse one of the top handicap horses now in the country? I mean, do you go to New York for the Whitney and just go all the big dances, or maybe you key him out and on the West Coast, and I mean, is this a Pacific Classic horse, Michael? I mean, we don't know yet. Where do you put National? Do you send him to to the Dubai World Cup? I mean, Michael, I'll let you go first since he's a West Coast horse. What do you think they're going to do, and what would you do with National Treasure?
His connections have a lot of very nice horses and big horses. I personally, with the way the big cap looks to be shaping up, I'd probably go big cap with him, where he'll be 1-5, 1-9, and it's $500,000, and it could even be frankly at this point. I mean, it's looking like most of us are going the Middle East route, or some horses are laying off. I don't know what. Again, there's horses like Stiletto Boy that I don't know why they're still campaigning these horses, but it seems to be wildly fallen off. I'd probably collect the free check in the big cap with him. I don't know what his connections will ultimately do with him. Yeah. He seems to be in very good form, so I think maybe they'll go Middle East. I'd probably explore the big cap and then explore the Naira route with him, because I think it's just going to be I think he can be really effective there.
Oh wait, maybe he'll run on the on the Friday of Derby weekend in the Alley Sheba. Oh wait, no, Baffert can't run there. My bad. He won't be at Churchill. Patrick,
no, he will not.
Patrick, you're an East Coast guy. You love Saratoga. We don't know. We got a long way to go. Is this a Whitney horse? I mean, is he that good? Was it just did Gulfstream, the track and the field sort of make him look better than he really is? What's your gut feeling on this horse, Patrick? Going forward, he just turned 4, so I mean, he's still a lightly raced horse to some extent.
Yeah, Baffert says he's coming into his own. I mean, I know the West Coast people would like to see him stay out there for a while, and I could see Baffert kind of preserving him a little bit for Saratoga. I mean, that would be a blast to get him to the Whitney. I think that would be awesome. But we know that Saratoga track is deep, and that's that's going to be tough for National Treasure to be on the lead and take them all the way on that track.
How about a little National Treasure Saudi Crown rematch from last year? I mean, look, again, Hoist the Gold, Michael and Patrick, is not the best 2-turn speed horse in the country. I mean, how would National Treasure do against a Saudi Crown or some of these other really nice? It's going to be fascinating to see. Or, of course, your guy, Patrick, you know what I'm talking about, the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, White Barrio. I mean, the handicap division is going to be pretty tough this year, and I'm very curious to see. I still think National Treasure needs to improve a little more, guys. I'm a believer of him more now than I was before the race. I don't know if he's a mile quarter horse. Like, this is not a Breeders' Cup Classic horse or maybe a Pacific Classic, depending on the field. I still need to see a little more, Michael. Maybe I'm just bitter and nitpicking, but I see what I see.
I think this horse would be tough in a race like the Pacific Classic at this point. Yeah. And I think you meant Fort Bragg was the one who had that match against Saudi Crown. I don't know if National Treasure faced Saudi Crown. That was Fort Bragg.
National Treasure was not in the Travers this year?
Oh, no. Oh, yes. He was the Travers, right? Yeah. Yes. He was in the Travers, yes. But I guess Saudi Crown had that nice stretch to it with Fort Bragg, and I think it was the Dwyer.
Yeah, you're right.
That was that. Yeah, that. But it's a fun handicap division, certainly, just because there's a lot of horses, and there's no horse like Flightline that's going to eat money every time. So it's fun to have superstars, but it's really fun to be able to puzzle piece these horses, I think, as a horse player.
Patrick, final thoughts on the Pegasus or anything else you want to talk about? We got big 3-year-old races coming up on Saturday. There's like 4 of them. The Kentucky Derby, is in full swing. And as I mentioned, Patrick, before the show, and Michael, I'll let you comment as the last thing we say. A lot of the Nisos and some of these really loaded Baffert horses, they did not change their trainers. So a lot of these Baffert horses are not going to be running in the Kentucky Derby. Patrick, your quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of disappointing a little bit, and I understand the Baffert with Churchill Downs and everything. It's really nitpicky, but he's got some good horses, and I would like to see the best competition there. But if I'm being honest, for what we have going on, it's not the worst thing in the world. But that's being a little selfish. But I do think in the sport of horse racing that does have let's be honest, a lot of issues. Having something like this linger is just it stinks.
Michael, I guess it might be the best Preakness we've ever seen coming up this year, maybe.
I hope it's better than last year's, Howard, because
it has to be.
That was very disappointing. I remember that didn't even feel like a Triple Crown race, but it seems like the Preakness and the Belmont are going to have seems to be that he's going to take his punishment and his fury and his wrath out on those races, because it's disappointing at this point. I mean, the guy did his time. Say what you will about him. He's one of the greater horsemen in the game, given his resume and his record going over the last 2 decades. So I don't know why you would punish owners like this, and you would punish the bettors and people who want to go to the track to see horses like Maymoon and horses like Nisos run in the big one.
Yeah, well, of course, we don't really know if they would qualify for the Derby. This is all sort of speculation. Right. I mean, who knows? But I hear he'll be back, I'm sure, next year. But I'd be shocked if he's not back. I also think, I'll just end on this, it's the 150th Derby, guys. There's going to be a ton of publicity. They just don't want to. They want to have to deal with that. Patrick and I are going to be there if it all works out. As you know, Michael, we've got major future bet on Sierra Leone. So selfishly, as Patrick noted, we're not too disappointed. Mm-hmm. But I hear you guys. I mean, it's a distraction, and the whole thing maybe should have been handled better. Blah blah blah. Anyway, past history, guys. Really appreciate you coming on tonight. We had a lot of fun talking Pegasus and many other things. Mike, where at Handicapper Mike is where people can get in touch with you, Michael?
Yeah, that's I guess my Twitter X. I opened it up a year ago, so that's where I do my horse racing thing. I post tickets and pictures from the track and pictures of our horses there, and I'm working on starting again on the Rockingham Ranch Twitter to post better pictures of horses there. But it's you can reach me there. You can DM me. You can tweet at me or send me a comment.
Great. Well, appreciate you guys having on the show. We went a little bit longer today, but we had a lot to discuss. We got shows Wednesday and Thursday coming up as usual. Check out my vacation video on YouTube. Find out where I'm going this summer on behalf of the podcast. For co-hosts Ben Booz and Patrick Kunzel, and great fan and works with Rockingham Ranch from the West Coast, Michael Ossen. This has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 5 of Horsin' Around. Crush your bets this weekend at your tracks. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.